New life and happy Father's Day. I'm so nervous. If I start crying, I don't cry, but I sweat a lot through my eyes sometimes, so I'm just sweating through my eyes. My name is Josh Kim, and I'm part of the Bangladesh House Church. My shepherds are Timothy Kim and Jess Hong. I was supposed to share something I respect about them, and I couldn't come up with anything. But that was because I couldn't settle on just one thing. However, for the sake of time, I'll say the thing that I respect the most about them is how warm and welcoming they are. From the first day I visited their house church, they took me in with open arms and made me feel as if I was a part of it from the very beginning. So Tim and Jess, thank you. I love you guys. My testimony is a little different. I didn't come to New Life as a non-believer. In fact, I came here with a pretty good idea of who God and Jesus Christ was already. I grew up in Houston as a believer of God, went to church every Sunday with my family. I even got baptized when I was 16. But Pastor Eric told me I just got dipped in water because at the time, I didn't know what it meant to be baptized. I agree. So I came up through the years having been surrounded by godly people in his teachings. But although I went to church every Sunday, I didn't have the best relationship with God. And up until college, I could describe my relationship with God as a roller coaster. If you ever rode one, you know there are many ups and downs. But the difference here is that the ups in my relationship with Christ stopped, and it was all completely downhill. When I started college in 2018, I completely turned away from my faith. Now, I didn't become this horrible, unethical human being. Actually, by the standards of our society, I was still a decent guy. I was still a respectful person. I was still a good student. I still cared about my friends and family. But by the standards of God, I certainly wasn't a decent guy. I stopped going to church and didn't bother to find one in college. I stopped praying. My Bible was collecting dust and cobwebs. And to keep this testimony PG, I was often indulging in secular activities. I stopped caring about God and only cared about myself. To be honest, during this time, I was happy and content. I had many friends, was having a lot of fun. I was studying hard and partying harder. I met a girl who was everything that I looked for. I even started dreaming about a whole life together with her. So I was living a happy and comfortable life. I didn't want to change anything about it. And so as a result, God became an afterthought. I pushed him to the very back of my mind and kept him there for a very long time. I wanted to stay in this bubble, as you could call it, for as long as I could. But this bubble of happiness and contentment started to dissipate my senior year. I'd begun to feel a little out of place, like something was missing. I started questioning my purpose in life, and all those things I had originally rooted my happiness and love in had started to lose its effect on me. And pretty soon, the world had become gray and dull. It was this feeling of aimlessness that had set off a chain of reaction of events. I became depressed. I lost the girl of my dreams. I was skipping classes, and my grades started to free fall. I started pushing away friends and family. I stopped working out. My bad habits consumed me and took every bit of control of me. My opinion on everything became spiteful and very bitter. And I became self-destructive, destroying and burning all bridges. And in the end, I felt confused, hurt, ashamed, angry, devoid of love, and most of all, I felt lost. Now, there were many nights where I'd listen to sad country songs while crying myself to sleep. I know this sounds very pathetic, but there was this one particular night where I just sat on the floor of my room in darkness. I hadn't taken a sip of alcohol. I wasn't listening to a sad country song. It was just completely silent and dark. And I remember sitting there thinking, how did I get here? And that's when I brought God to the forefront of my mind for the first time in a very long time. Angrily and stupidly, I started asking him, how could you let this happen to me? Why did you let this happen to me? Where are you now? This isn't fair. I've been nothing but good my whole life. And many other things I'm ashamed to even have let come out of my mouth. And while I was angrily saying these things out loud in my dark room, for the first time in my life, I heard him speak to me as if he was sitting right there next to me. And he said to me, pray. And at first, I thought I was just going insane. I thought that wasn't real. No. But then I heard him again, pray to me. And then a subtle, sudden, indescribable feeling of love and warmth came over me. It felt strange and so alien to me because I had never felt this feeling before. And so for the first time in a while, I started praying for what felt like hours right there in my room. Even after all these years I'd spent neglecting to build any sort of relationship with him, he made it clear to me that he had been with me this whole time, even though I had abandoned him. He did not once abandon me. I also cried that night, but these were not tears of sadness. They were tears of joy because this is when I knew that in my darkest and lowest moment, I wasn't alone. That night, a switch flipped inside of me. I'd come to realize that although I'd completely turned away from him, selfishly pushed him away, and shut the door on him, he stayed at that door and he kept knocking until I answered. Might have taken me a while to answer that door, but I eventually did. Since that night, I wish I could stand here and tell you that my life did a full 180. I started reading the Bible and praying every day, and that all my problems, insecurities, and anxieties disappeared in one night. But Rome wasn't built in one day. It took a lot of time, effort, and prayer just to get to this point where I'm standing here now giving you my testimony. But that night gave me a newfound purpose in life, to know him. And as I've continued to build this relationship with him, I've discovered a type of love, goodness, and truth that only he could provide. I found out how to root my love and happiness in something that won't ever fail. Spoiler alert, it's through him. Through him, I know true peace, how to love, how to forgive, and most importantly, I know who I can turn to when the going gets tough. What once was a void of insecurity and despondency in me was now filled with God and all the goodness he brings in one's life. Now, don't get me wrong, over the years, it was a battle each and every day between my flesh and spirit. And there were many days when my flesh had won. And it still is a fight every day. But I know that I'm not on this journey alone. By being intentional in my walk to building my relationship with him, I know that he is there to pick me up each time I fail. Would you be willing to give someone a chance if they had failed you? What if they failed you 100 times over? And what if some of those failures were repeated failures they made in the past? Would you still be willing to afford them another chance? I only know of one person who is willing to do that, and that's the man upstairs. It's this type of mercy and love that I've been blessed with and have come to admire and adore. It is because of him I strive to be a better person every day. If you ask me to describe my relationship with God today, I would still say my relationship is still like a roller coaster with its ups and downs. But the key difference here is that there are now way more ups than there are downs. And I will continue to go up as I continue to seek and love him, just as he continues to seek and love me and you. God bless you. Happy Father's Day. Thank you.